Well, welcome to this first knitting podcast, or maybe it's going to be knitting vlog. We'll see about that. So it's a first video, first podcast on this channel. My name is Stella. For those of you who don't know me, for the ones who do know me and you guys joined me because you followed me on my other projects, I'm really happy to see you here. And I hope you're going to enjoy whatever I'm doing here.
Avocado, ginger tree, I see you beneath the leaves. Oh, avocado.
So in this podcast, we're going to cover following topics. As usual, finished projects, also some projects that I started and I'm working on currently, some unfinished projects that I want to talk about. There will be a lot of them. I also want to talk about some fails and how I fix them, because maybe some of that information will be useful for you. Also, I want to talk about the fact that I got a knitting machine. I got it as a present for my birthday / Christmas / New Year, and I'm gonna share my experience with you. And of course, since it's a beginning of the year, it's a first video on this channel, first knitting podcast on this channel, I'm gonna share some plans about this channel. I will go from there. Okay, let's start with the finished projects. I think I finished around 10 projects this month and the previous months, but obviously they are not big projects. They are like small, tiny accessories. The only big project that I finished, and I was actually knitting it for the last couple of months, and I finally finished it right before Christmas, was this sweater. I actually love this project very much. I'm proud of it. I have some things that I have to say about it, but I will share these things in a bit. My second finished project that I'm super happy and proud, I would say so, is this hat. I actually wanted to knit a red hat, and finally I did. I'm not super into accessories. This is actually maybe the third hat I knitted in the whole time I'm knitting. I don't like small items, but finally I did it and I'm happy about it. My other finished projects are these ones. I went on a little bit of a small scarf epidemic. I don't know why, but I never liked small scarves before. But this winter was really cold and it was rainy, it was very windy, especially it was windy. And the wind is really cold where I live because it comes from the ocean. The ocean is really cold in winter. So it was actually sunny, but kind of chilly at the same time. So I felt that my neck is constantly cold. So I wanted to have a bunch of scarves. Yeah. So I ended up making 3. I don't know why. And I was actually making a 4th one, but this one I didn't finish. Okay, this was the first one I finished. And the reason I actually did it because I went to the local yarn store and I wanted to buy some yarn to support local store. And I bought this, it's a cotton and it's a long, so it's a very high quality, I think American cotton. And I wanted to try it, I bought it and I actually really like it. It's super soft. I usually don't like to work with cotton, but this one is super soft, it's so nice. Then I had this other yarn that I had in my stash for a while. It's a recycled silk. So I was like, oh wow, silk, that should be good for me. And all these projects, I didn't follow the pattern, they were self-drafted. And then I wanted even a tinier one, but this I don't quite like it. It's also cotton, but this one feels much nicer than this one. And 2 other projects that I finished are these bonnets. I have no idea why I needed so many accessories. I think because it was the end of the year, I was actually super busy with work, because my type of work, we get really busy October, November, December. So I was like super busy. I didn't really have much time to knit, and I wanted some quick projects that I can do a little bit and still kind of continue working and move forward. Plus, when I finished this sweater, I was so exhausted. I just didn't want to start anything big. I guess that's why. Let's discuss these accessories and then I go back to this sweater and talk about it a little bit more. So this is the bonnet I knit using a pattern, and all the information, if I mention patterns, if I mention some designers, all this information will be somewhere on the screen or in the description as usual. I actually participated in the test knitting. This was the first time, and maybe actually the last, that I'm doing the test knitting. I just realized it's a fun project to do. It's fun if you already know people with whom you're doing test knitting, because I personally knew the designer. But one thing I realized about myself, I suck at follow instructions to the T. You can't do your alternations, adjustments, because the person wants you to test the pattern, and I don't like to do that. For example, with this pattern, I was supposed to use a sock yarn or something equivalent to the sock yarn, but Does it look like a sock yarn to you? So I still didn't follow the instruction, and because I didn't follow the instruction, this bonnet didn't turn out as it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be much smaller. Anyway, I was wearing it a little bit. I really liked it. And then I wanted to do some changes. I actually really liked the pattern because I would never figure out how to do this construction myself. I mean, I would, but probably it will take me forever. No, I don't think I would. So I decided to do alteration, and I make this hat because I wanted something. So if you compare them, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like if you compare them like this, they look very similar. I mean, I don't know how to tell you, but anyway, so this one is more tight fitting. I'm not gonna try it now because I'm gonna have, actually, let me try it. I was about to say I'm gonna have a mess on my hair, but who cares? So I wanted something tight fitting, and I also wanted something that obviously I can remove because sometimes it gets hot, sometimes it gets cold. This one I a little bit didn't do how I intended. I was planning to have a wider neck, so I have something covering my neck. I was doing adjustment and it didn't work as planned. But I need to fix this part because I made it too narrow. Okay, let's talk about this sweater. So this sweater, it is actually based on a pattern. The pattern is called Timeless Jersey. It's made by a Russian knitwear designer. It actually was my friend who bought this pattern. I really liked how this pattern looked on her sweater, and I'm borrowed the pattern from her. Technically, the idea was mostly use the cable, just the design, without following the actual garment pattern. I did follow some things. For example, she was doing this like very narrow ribbing here, the same at the bottom. So these things I kind of took from the pattern, but then there were some things that I didn't quite like. For example, the sleeves were very narrow. I think it took me 2 times to redo the sleeve, because first I made it too large, then I made it too narrow, then I made it too large again because I was tinkering with the pattern. I forgot to mention that the sweater is knit from bottom up to the top, so it's like a separate pieces, then you put them together. So I think I may have changed the width of the sweater, the same as this. So I did do lots of changes, and I also changed the neck. I don't think that's the neck that's intended. This is a double folded and a double folded neck. The neck was actually a nuisance because first it was too large, then it was like unorganized. It's like didn't look very neat. Then it was super itchy because I was in this period of my time when everything was really itchy on me. That's why I actually started doing cotton scarves, because I couldn't wear any wool around my neck. I don't know why, but it's something happened to me this year where I can't wear any wool or any this type of the project about my neck. So this why I started tinkering with the neck. So when I did a double folded neck, I actually added this silk in here to kind of help with the itchiness. But then this neck became too loose. Okay, that was, as I said, this project sucked a lot of energy and blood out of me. But I think this part I will discuss in the fails video. Otherwise, I think it turned out really cute. The only problem, yesterday I found a mistake somewhere here. Right in the middle there is a mistake. I don't know if you guys can see it. If you cannot, then it's perfect. If you can, I don't know. Obviously it's in the middle, there is no way to fix it. And since I was wearing this sweater for almost a couple of weeks and I didn't see it, I'm like, I guess it's good. Otherwise, I really like the sweater. I like the color. I like this design. I don't know. I think it's like extremely beautiful. And I don't really do lots of cable patterns, but this one was probably the first one where I have cables all over the sweater, and I really like it, and now I want more cables. Actually, going back to the scarves, as I mentioned, so I started doing the scarves because everything was itchy, so I couldn't use any wool scarves or even merino, like nothing could work for me. Because, for example, this yarn, it's a mix of merino and viscose, so it shouldn't be very itchy. But anyway, so I started doing the scarves, and I realized that cotton scarves are super practical, at least for where I live. I live in California, so we don't get really cold, but we do get windy days or kind of chilly and very like humid and chilly days, so the scarves work really nice. So I actually was wearing them a lot, as well also as an accessory. Since it's not really warm, I can even wear it around the house. Yeah, I think I need more scarves. But my idea is probably to have more scarves of different shapes, not just, this little Sophie inspired scarves. I also didn't mention, but these scarves are not following a design. Obviously, I was inspired by the Sophie scarf, but I didn't actually follow the construction of Sophie. So this is just a garment stitch increases. So I started here. So in case somebody, if you never made a scarf like this, you start here with like 2 stitches or whatever stitches you want. Then you do increases. You do it on one side. So basically, let me show you. So you can see this size. You never increase on this side, so it's just straight. And diagonal side, that's where you do increase. I think I did increases. I did different types. I think I did increases every 6 rows, every 4th rows, and then I would just alternate between them as well. And then when you reach this part, you start doing decreases. That's it. Like for example, you can see that this scarf, it has more, defined top area. This one is more just a narrow scarf. To be honest, like now I don't think I should have even done this part, but I did it for some reason. I should just made a straight one. And this one is more like a... So this one I can actually wear it on my head as well, like it has a head scarf. Anyway, so I just realized I actually have another project that is technically finished recently, but since it's a summer project, I almost forgot about it. So this particular project, it was actually almost finished in autumn, but then it became very cold. So I was like, there is no point to finishing it. And I just had to finish the ribbing and these parts. And I finally did it in the beginning of January. Obviously, I'm not really wearing it right now, but it's a cute project. Let me show you. Initially, this project follows a pattern as well. It's supposed to be a sweater. And this sweater is made out of cotton. As I said, I have lots of random cotton leftovers, so I was trying to use them up. So I was just trying to use up those cotton leftovers. I hope it's not too much red. Yeah, and initially it's supposed to be a sweater, but I don't really wear cotton sweaters, but I actually might start wearing them. This was my pre-itch area. So when I was making the sweater, I was like, I don't need cotton sweaters because I just like wool sweaters. I wasn't itchy back then, and I didn't know that. Yeah, anyway, so it's gonna be summer tee. I mean, I might still wear it right now because there were a couple of days that were extremely hot in California. It's actually a very interesting pattern because you start top down, and when you make those holes, they actually create the shoulder shaping. You see how the holes are going in this angle. So it's a very actually interesting construction. I don't know if she has this construction in English, the same as for this one. I don't know if it exists in English. In case if it does exist, I'm gonna link it down below. Initially, this designer made this project in bright green, and I actually really like this bright green. I think if I find this green cotton, the same shade as hers, I will probably make it into a sweater because I really like how it's made, and I also like the construct. Okay, let me just stay in this thing actually for a while. I didn't mention anything about this hat. I guess I have to. I hope I didn't look too... Okay, now I'm gonna probably look funky without a hat. Anyway, so this hat is also... I think it's partially self-drafted and partially I was following a tutorial from YouTube. I'm gonna link it down below. It's a free tutorial. I think I mostly used it to do these decreases, and the rest is simple, just one by one rib. I actually hated this hat when I finished it, and I kind of like it and I hate it at the same time. I wear it a lot. I wear it almost every day because I don't know why I really like this color. But the problem with this particular hat, as well as for this particular yarn, is it stretches out too much. I already had to shrink it, and I will talk about it in my fails part. So this hat is kind of... It's weird. I don't know. I feel like it's stretching again. I have to shrink it again. I might redo the red hat at some point from another yarn that's like more elastic. Okay, that's it for the finished project. Let's talk about projects that I started but haven't finished. So, for the last couple of months, there was a particular pattern that was haunting me. It was literally haunting me everywhere on the internet. It's a Halibut sweater pattern. And I don't know why. I don't really... it's funny, I told you, I made this sweater following a pattern, I made this sweater following a pattern. Usually I don't need patterns as often, but for some reason, I guess I'm right now in the era of my life when I actually enjoy knitting other people's designs versus creating my own. I don't know why, but it is what it is. So actually it goes like this. So this is a Lopa Piesa. It's a, you know, round yoke stranded colorwork project. And I don't know why, but I really wanted to have this sweater. As I said, I never had colorwork projects, like stranded colorwork projects before. And I was actually planning to start this project as soon as I finished this one, but it took me 3 weeks to get, I don't know, mentally ready. I was watching different videos, I was practicing, I was choosing yarn, I was ordering yarn, I was waiting for the yarn. And the crazy part, the initial yarn that I received for it, because I ordered this like charcoal gray and as well as white, but I didn't like how white looked on this charcoal gray, so I almost decided not to do this project. It's interesting, sometimes I can see the pattern, buy it, and immediately start something, especially if I have a yarn in my stash. But there are other times where I want to knit something and I just dilly-dally around it. I just spend lots of time prepping and then never starting. That's me as well. But this time I was like, I need this pattern. I need to make it work. Anyway, fast forward to now, I'm actually started this project. But before I started it, and I will show you how far I went along, I decided, okay, I need to practice to do some color work. So I was doing lots of practice. This weird item was supposed to be a Christmas tree decor, but I never finished it. Then I decided, like, okay, let me try, because I have hard time navigating 2 strands of yarn. Then I decided to make this different like colorwork design. This is a colorwork brioche. This is a, I don't know how it's called, but in Russian they call it lazy colorwork. I don't know how it's called in English. So I did lots of projects that I started, never finished, until I actually heard another person mentioning that when she works her colorwork, stranded colorwork project, she's using this thing. So basically it goes on your finger, then you put 2 strands of yarn, you close it, the magic starts. Let me show you how it would look in real life, in case you haven't used that thing yet. So it goes like this. So you see you have 2 yarns. Basically it's like a yarn guide, and then you hold like this, and when you knit, your yarn is here. So you just, I have to say, I usually don't like little tools and trinkets. Even, for example, even when I do cables, like this cable, I don't use cable needles. So this sweater was knitted without a single use of single cable needle. My other projects where I do, I never use cable needles. So I was like, okay, I don't know if I need this one. But I was really struggling with using color work, like when you have 2 colors of yarn. And this thing is a game changer. So I would say if you're struggling with color work, or if you want to try your color work, but you're not sure if you can do it, try this. And this one is a Clover. So I specifically bought the one from a known brand. I didn't want to buy anything like cheap, no name, because I just wanted this thing to be comfortable. And the reason why I like this one, it's very light, so it's, you know, it's not heavy on your finger. It has this little opening, so it's actually, you know, fits, I guess, most finger. Yeah, I guess it will fit most fingers. Yeah, I think even if you have larger hands, because I have smaller hands, it will fit. So this was a game changer. So So this is the start of my Halibut sweater. I mean, there is not much to show yet and not much to say, but I have to say, I was so afraid to start a color work. I felt like it's going to be something very, you know, energy taking, that I will need to put lots of mental resources into it. But to be honest, this is such a fast project. I made this part in one evening/night, because I usually knit until 2 a.m. And then I made this one yesterday. So I feel like this project can be finished really fast. Yeah, I really like this project. I think I already infested my friend with... because she's like, oh, no, I want it too. Yeah, I think it's a really cute project. So now I have this color work bug. Now I want to have more color work projects in my life. Okay, let's talk about other things that I started. Let me see, what else did I start? Oh, I started, yeah, one thing about me, if you haven't figured it yet, I'm a multiple project person. because I have multiple hobbies, I have multiple interests, and I feel in my life I have a need to constantly switch from one thing to another, otherwise it gets too boring, too repetitive. So my next project was, I actually, since as I said, I didn't want to start any projects between this and this, I was doing lots of small things, so I still had a need to knit. So I started this pattern for a sock. Actually, it's not a pattern, this is self-drafted. I mean, I guess it is technically self-drafted. Anyway, so obviously I didn't follow any instruction, but for this particular design, I found it in a book. Look, I don't know. So I got this book from a library, and I found this design. Let me show you. Yeah, this design. So basically I used this pattern because I really liked it. I might utilize it in some other projects, and I made a sock. But unfortunately, when I reached the heel, I realized I don't really have enough yarn. So this is all the yarn I have left. Yeah, this is all the yarn I have left. So first I was thinking like, okay, I'm just gonna switch the color and finish in another color. But then I was like, I don't know, I really like this particular color. I don't want it to be mixed with something else. So I was like, I don't know what to do. And then, typical me, unfortunately I have this problem with starting things and never finishing. So I unraveled the sock, because I was knitting two socks at the same time. I unraveled that sock and I started something else. And I might unravel this as well because I have some issues with this. Anyway, let me see, I don't forget. No, it's this. Was it this one? Yeah, I think, yeah, it's this one. So I started a mitten. So I used the same design, as you can see. I think it's really cute. And at least like for this much yarn, I actually have enough yarn for the mittens. These mittens are actually knitted from here. No, wait, what did I just do? I'm sorry, this is stupid. No, wait, I'm sorry. Okay, I don't know, this is crazy. Why I'm so dumb today? Anyway, that's why I was like, wait, something is wrong. I remember it was the right hand. Yeah, so this mittens, they're knitted from here because of the design. I felt like I should start here. Then it was actually an interesting project. I found this information, I think, on one of the blogs in the internet. So the way how it's knitted, you knit up to here, then you knit a thumb separately. So it's like a separate piece. Then you attach it together and then you continue knitting. And since I have a limited amount of yarn, I was like, okay, I start here, I knit this part, and then I will just knit as long as I can, as much as I can. I have the yarn. So this is my project. The reason why I say I might unravel it, I feel like this finger is too long and it kind of looks weird. But this part is like very short and it's very tight. I'm using needles, I think 2mm needles, and I think it's too, I made it too tight for this yarn. I don't know, that's why I'm kind of like debating. It's very tight fitting, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. And there are a few things I don't like about this particular construction. I don't know. It's a tight mitten. Tell me, do you think it's too tight? Should I make it a little bit looser? Is this finger too long? This is first time I'm actually making my own mittens, so I have no idea. I mean, it's not first time. This is technically first time. This one, okay, I'm such a liar. I'm not a liar, I'm just all over the place. Yeah, so this is actually my first mittens. I started with these ones, and these ones I knitted from here, then I knitted this part, and then I finished it, and I just have to finish this part. So I might still finish these ones. But this one's, the reason I never finished the second one, because I feel like this one is kind of too wide. I don't know. Anyway, this one, I like the design, I like the color, I like everything, but I feel it's too tight. So you tell me, do you think it's too tight or not? Anyway, so this is the project I started. Okay, this project, technically I started it way in December. I haven't finished it yet, so it's another scarf. For this particular scarf, I need to buy pink yarn because I want to make the other half like in a stripes. It's going to be pink and green scarves because I don't have pink cotton yarn. So this one is there. And then there's... Oh, this is another actually cool project that I started. Let me show you. So this is actually... crochet. I don't usually crochet that often, but once in a while, I think like every 4 or 5 months, I feel like, oh, I need to crochet something. I think this is so beautiful. So technically oh my goodness, the plan is, maybe I need to film it, I don't know. So the plan is to have lots of these designs, put them together and have a cover for a pillow. So I have this particular pillow cover, so I'm just gonna crochet all over it. This design, this pattern is following another crochet knitwear designer from Russia. She actually has a free video on YouTube, and I actually followed her, instructions as well. I used the same colors as her. Something about me that I have hard time choosing the color combinations. I often choose color combinations and then I don't like them. Maybe other people like them, but I hate them. That's why, for example, this particular one, first I was thinking it's a good idea, but now when I look at it, one day I like it, one day I hate it, and I don't know why. It's something, I think it's something broken in my brain in relation to colors. Sometimes I can quickly figure out the color combination, and sometimes I just try different things and I try and I'm dissatisfied and I don't know how to fix it. So this time I just followed whatever this girl was showing. So she chose these colors. It was actually first time I think in my life when I went to the store and I bought the exact colors that the pattern requires. Usually I'm just trying to use whatever I have in my stash, and I'm super satisfied. This is a very basic cheap yarn from Joann's, stores like that. It was very pleasant to crochet with. This is a cool project. I actually need to finish it. And then I started another small project. Let me get it. When I was getting my next project, I actually realized I have another unfinished project. Yeah, this is the problem with me. I start lots of projects and then sometimes I even forget. So it's going to be actually a plan for this year to be a little bit more organized. Okay. That's all. I have this book. I actually got this book from library as well. Oh. And basically what I'm knitting this fox, but my fox is going to be in this color because I want it to be like a dark haired fox, or maybe even it's going to be wolf, I don't know. So I'm going to need something like this. And I started this project. I was super excited about it, and then I stopped. I think I have a head that's already finished. I just need to wash it, and I don't know, the reason I hated this project, I don't know if you can see. So basically first I was waiting to buy this part, but then it's kind of I don't know, oh, you can't see it. So I feel like it's kind of see-through, so you can see the white part. And now I'm actually debating whether I should redo it completely. I think I should have used double yarn, so it's more, more thick, more dense. I just don't like how loose this thing is. Another thing I was debating, maybe I should, I already tried to felt it a little bit, and I did felt it, but maybe I should just felt it again. So my question is, can I felt it without removing the stuffing? Because, I've already put it together. So now I'm actually, I don't know what to do. At the same time, if I'm gonna have some, clothes for it, maybe I shouldn't bother about it. So that's what happens to me sometimes. If I'm unsure, I just get into this paralysis when I can't continue because I'm not sure if it's a good idea to continue. But I think I should finish it. Yeah. It's just gonna be something cute for the decor of my little nook. Okay, let's put it here. Another project. This one, I don't remember. Okay. Unfortunately, I can't show it. Oh my god. I have a very interesting system of, storage system where I'm just worried if I'm gonna pull it. This plant, yeah. Because I have little containers there where I can put some stuff inside, and then it works as a container and as a shelf. So I don't know, at some point I actually was into crochet. I was crocheting thing, and then I found this cute pattern. Basically it's like a bird or something like this, and it's supposed to be like a bookmark or just something, I don't know. But the problem is mine is more ugly than the one that the person who made this pattern. So I don't quite, again, I look at it, I'm I don't understand, are you cute or are you ugly? Should I redo you or not? Anyway, so that's how I got stuck. So yeah, I have lots of unfinished business. What else? I guess that's it. Okay, now let's talk about the knitting machine. Actually, I started thinking about knitting machine a couple of years ago, and then I was like, you don't need it. You don't need it because the knitting machine requires a space, it's something large, it's something bulky. And also I was like thinking like, do I really like knitting to the point where I can, sit in front of the table and operate the knitting machine? Or maybe in reality, I'm more like a person who likes to lay down on a couch, knit, and watch, YouTube at the same time. And I was like, I'm more like that type of person. And then the knitting machine started popping up in my feed more often. And by that I mean that people whom I follow, the hand knitters, started getting knitting machine. And I see it's a huge trend right now. And I didn't even realize that the trend influenced me to this point, but I started seeing it more often. And especially something clicked in me when I started seeing people getting this particular knitting machine, the same as I got. It's Silver Reed LK150. Usually people just call it LK150. And I saw it, I'm like, wait a minute, that thing is really small, it's very compact, it's easy to, remove and put away. Because before, every time people mentioned the knitting machine, people would say, you need a separate table, you need to put it on the table, you have to have a space for it, you can't really carry it back and forth. And that's what was my impression. But when I saw people using LK, when they would just reach under the table, grab it with one hand, lift it on the table, I'm like, wait a minute, that thing is very light, very easy to operate. And the second thing, my impression was that knitting machine, that means you have to use very thin yarn. It's something very a small stitch definition items. But then I realized that this LK150 is considered to be a bulky knitting machine, and technically you can use boucle yarn, thick and fluffy yarn that I use for my bonnet. You can use those things. I was like, wow. And then I saw this one particular girl. I used to follow her a lot, and I kind of started following her channel again. She's a knitter. She got this machine, and she said, oh guys, look, this is the sweater I needed in a weekend. I think she needed something for her husband, or I think for her husband. She's like, oh, I needed the sweater for my husband, and I finished it in over the weekend. And I actually know this sweater. I also needed the sweater for my husband and for myself. And when I was knitting that particular sweater for my husband, because of his size, I spent, I think, 3 or 4 months. Obviously, I did other things on the side, but I remember it took me forever to finish that sweater. And I think that's what they broke the camel back. I'm like, I know that sweater. If I could have done that sweater on this machine, then I need this machine for sure. So this is something, because I could relate to this project. And then I started talking about it, I was like, oh, maybe I should buy it. And of course, since my birthday / New Year, Christmas was coming up, my husband decided to get me this knitting machine. I opened the box and the machine was broken. So when they delivered it, either it was already broken or they tossed it when they delivered it. So there was a little crack. And first I was like, I really wanted to have it. So I told my husband, let's keep it. But then I was like, okay, let's be realistic. He paid full price for this machine. It's broken. Let's say if I decide that I don't like it, it will be hard to sell it. What if this crack starts cracking even more and it destroys the machine? So we had to return it. So we returned it. And then I told him you know what? Let's look at the secondhand market. Maybe you just get it secondhand. And we actually did find the same machine. Somebody was selling it secondhand, 1 hour drive from our place. So we went there, we bought it, and saved ourselves lots of money. And I was so excited. But then my excitement went down. Everyone who started on the knitting machine, they say it's a very certain learning curve. So it takes a while until you figure out how to use it. So when you know how to use it, it's really easy. It's really fast knitting. But before you figure out, it's actually not as easy as it seems. And when I started my first project, I remember I was doing different swatches and samples. I was like, it's actually easy. But then when I had to knit the particular amount of needles, the particular amount of rows, I had to do certain things. Oh my God, that was so stressful. I can't even describe it. Okay, it's night. It took me 20 minutes to fix this mistake and another 20 minutes to figure out why it happened. And the reason why it happened, I forgot the weights. In the last 4 hours, I managed to close this. and made maybe this many rows. And things like this happen several times. I hate it. I can't deal with this anymore. I haven't cried so much in my life about knitting as I cried over this knitting machine. I don't know. It just the way how I approached the knitting machine, I think was all wrong. And I think like after maybe a couple of months, I will make a video for everyone who's starting on this machine, like a beginner video, basically talking about all the things I wish I knew but I didn't. Also, there is something about me that sometimes I watch some channels and people like, oh, I'm knitting socks and hats, and I want to try to knit my first sweater. I just don't dare, and this is not me. For me, it's like, oh, let me do this, and I just do it. And sometimes I think I overestimate my skills. Sometimes I overestimate, how good I am to do something. And you would say, well, how is it a bad thing? Sometimes it is a bad thing because, for example, when I started sewing a couple of years ago, I started immediately with a very complicated project. Those projects frustrated me so much that I just gave up sewing and haven't touched my sewing machine for another year and a half. So this is the problem. This is the cost of me just going in any project. The reason why I made a mistake. First of all, I didn't choose the right yarn. I chose the yarn that was very thin, that was splitting easily. And I should have used something like bulky. I don't know why I didn't use the bulky yarn. Then second, a normal person would probably start with something like a scarf, something where you just knit on the machine for a long time and there you go. Even something like this where you can learn how to do decreases and shaping, but if you make a mistake, it's not that important, it's not that deep because it's just a scarf. But no, for me, of course, I decided to use very thin yarn. And of course, I decided that I'm gonna make like an armhole shaping, neckline shaping. And also I decided for some reason that I want to do stripes. So yesterday, I finally finished the front panel of my sweater. It took me literally the whole month to work on one project. If I was hand knitting it, I would probably already finish that part. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But anyway, the amount of hours I put in that project was ridiculous. I would spend at least I think 4 days per week, each time around 3 hours on this project. And I kept doing it. I kept hitting problems. I could know how to fix it. There was lots of mistakes. Again, while I'm talking about it, I hope I'm adding some clips where you can see something. And actually, let me show you that panel. I'm actually super proud how it turned out. It didn't turn out as I expected it, which is another weird thing. I don't know. I did a swatch. It was a little bit too small. Maybe that's the problem. I did a swatch. I did the measurements. I actually did Excel file with this, garment construction, all the math. I did all the math. It's a self-drafted sweater. I didn't follow any pattern. That's another thing. I should probably have followed a pattern on the knitting machine, but no, I decided that it's going to be self-drafted, difficult to work yarn, completely new construction. So I was doing all the measurements. I don't know. Okay, let me bring you the front panel. I put this t-shirt so you can actually see if it's a little bit unkept. I'm sorry. Okay. For some reason it turned out bigger than I expected. I don't know why. Okay. I don't know. So this is the front panel. It goes like this. It has the, armhole shaping. I don't know why it's stretched out. I think this is something that happens to me this year. Things stretch out. I don't know. It's just my curse. And it's extremely long. So I'm still debating whether I should unravel it. But probably I will not, because the amount of time I spent doing it, I don't want to unravel anything. By the way, if you hear the weird screeching in the background, that's my bird. So right now, my plan is obviously to make it into sweater, but we'll see. Maybe it will be a vest. I don't know. So far, it's a t-shirt. The cool part, look how even is the stitching. Look how even it is. Also, in the bottom, I made this folded hem. That's how it looks like. Yeah, so here's how it goes. It's super lightweight. It's super, I don't know. I just don't know why is it bigger than I planned it to be. So if you guys ever gonna start on a knitting machine, never start with this type of yarn. Okay, wait, let me unravel. So this is the yarn I used So look how it's like splits like this yarn. So not only it like splits like this, actually this yarn, it comes on a cone and it comes as a single strand. So it comes like this. You can't even see it. So what I did, I had this cone. I had to make single strand cake. So I had 6 cakes together, and that's how I was knitting. Anyway, so because this yarn was constantly splitting, it was a hassle. Every time I would lose a stitch, it would take me 1 hour to put the stitches back on the machine. Yeah, this was like a very stressful project. Again, I don't know why I did it so complicated for myself, but at the same time, after this project, nothing scares me anymore. I'm like, you know what? The next project will be nothing. I spent so much time picking up stitches, fixing mistakes. My machine would, like, I would, move the carriage, and the whole project would just fall to the floor. And I'm like, what just happened? Why did it happen? I spent so much time Googling, looking for lessons, looking for videos, figuring out how to do it. How do you do decreases? How do you do armhole shaping? And Jesus Christ, look how big it is. Yeah. Anyway, as I said, I'm probably gonna have a separate video about this, but a few things I want to say about the machine that I actually really enjoy having it. One thing I realized about knitting, first of all, I'm knitting for the 4 years. So, I tried different things. I tried pattern, I tried self-drafting. I tried many different things. And right now, I found myself at a stage of my life where I'm more interested in garment construction per se. So like, how do we do this? How do we try this technique? How do we do? Than in actually creating knitted items. And this is for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, I already have so many knitted items. I don't think I need much more. At the same time, sometimes I knit something for like a couple of months and then I don't like it and I need to unravel it, but I don't want to unravel it because I spent too much time on it. But I feel like if I spend little time doing it using a knitting machine, it will be much easier for me to unravel and redo it. And the reason why I want to be able to unravel and redo, because I want to try different, like for example this one, it's a little bit too big, I like oversized, but it's a little bit too big. Technically, if this wasn't my first project, I would just unravel and redo it, and I would actually figure out, why did I even make those mistakes? Yeah, the second thing why I want to, I wanted to have a knitting machine and why I'm glad to have it. Like, for example, for this particular project, as soon as I finish Colorwork, I can actually put, the stitches on the knitting machine, when I just have like a straight stockinette stitch. And I can actually, as soon as I finish Colorwork, I can actually finish this item the same day, the same weekend, just with the knitting machine. So I can start it by hand and then finish on the knitting machine. That's another thing, because I have so many projects that I haven't finished, and I feel like if I can just put them on a knitting machine and finish them quickly and actually finally start using them, that would be a good idea. And actually, what's funny about this project? So this particular white yarn, this is the yarn that I was initially supposed to use with this one, but for some reason when I tried it, I realized because this yarn is splitting, it's really hard for me to do color work with it, because every time I try to grab the yarn, it gets caught because it's like splitting. But how on earth I was thinking, it's too difficult to use it for color work, let me use it for knitting machine. Yeah, I didn't know any better. Anyway, I'm super proud with this project, because for the first project on the knitting machine, I feel like it's still a good one, and I'm excited to try new things. I think my next project on the knitting machine will be a beanie. I'm doing a little bit of a reverse. I'm gonna do a beanie and I want to see how it turns out. If you have any questions about the knitting machine, maybe you were thinking to get one, you can ask me, because I think my memories are still fresh about all the struggles, about all my own concerns and why I actually got it in the first place. And I'm glad I got this particular model, because I was debating between buying a second-hand like old machine, like some people sell like old Zingers or like old Brothers, or getting this particular machine as a new. I ended up not getting it new, but you know the story. Yeah, because this machine is so easy to use. Like all the struggle that I had with this, I created the struggle myself. If I used some like easy to work with yarn, like something that has like a good definition, doesn't split, slightly thicker, I would not have those projects, but I created those problems myself. But that's how I do it usually. Okay, let me put this vest because it's a little bit chilly in our house. because we don't use the heater all the time. Wait, that's the wrong side. Plus the reason I want to wear it because I want to show you one of my favorite projects. So let's talk about plans. Since I put this thing on, I created this design in 2022, and then I started it, and then the war started, and then I just couldn't continue anymore because I was super sad, upset. I was like stressed about, the war and life changes that it brought to my personal life. So I actually didn't knit for half a year, but then I finally finished this, I think like a year later or 2 years later. So this is my own design. It's like self-drafted. I didn't follow any pattern. Then I made another vest like that, but another one I don't like. I actually gonna unravel it. Maybe I show you it next time. I actually want to make another sweater, not a sweater, another vest like this. And I was thinking maybe when I will be doing it, maybe I will film the whole process so other people can actually follow this process and make their own vests like this. I don't know. This is one of the plans for this channel. So I want to redo this vest. In general, my plan for the next year to make as many vests as possible, because as I said, I already have many sweaters, and since I live in California, and also since my itch incident when I started getting very itchy from wool, unfortunately right now I can't wear anything that's around my neck, so I have to have something, either a vest or a cardigan, something that's like far away from my neckline. So the plan for this year to mainly work on vests and maybe cardigan, because I haven't finished a single cardigan yet. So that's my plan. My other plans, knitting plans for the year, are to be more organized in terms of how many projects I start versus how many projects I finish. Obviously I can go in a more like rough way and say like, oh, only work on one project at a time. Not realistic. I actually use this technique, like don't start a new project unless you finish the other ones. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But this year I do want to be more organized, and I need to find a system. The system that actually worked really well for me in the end of the year. So when I finished this sweater, I was like, okay, let me take a break from starting a new big project and let me finish something. So that's how I'm gonna go about it. So when I finish a big project, instead of immediately jumping into another, I will look at all my unfinished items and just finish them. Another thing that I think I need more, usually I do it like once a year or every like other year. I usually look at all my knitting stashes and I finish or unravel all the projects that I am not planning to finish. For example, this year, since it's beginning of the year, it's always a good time to do it. I found some of the projects that are unfinished and they're sitting there since 2022. Several of the projects like that. I will show you in a little clips later. Yeah, so my plan is that I need to find a balance, that let's say I have a free style period when I just do whatever, and then I have like, let's say 1 month or one couple of weeks where I'm not starting new things, I'm finishing. So I think that's a good idea. We'll see how it works for this year. Another plan is to, I don't know how to even phrase it. I think in the last couple of years, I'm on a journey of figuring out my personal style. Sometimes I like what I wear, but more often than not, I don't. And there are only few outfits that I truly enjoy, and the rest of my wardrobe, I'm like, I don't like you. So in the last couple of years, I'm trying to figure out what it is my personal style, because I realized I have a disconnect between things I buy and things I wear. I have a disconnect between things I enjoy seeing on other people and things I buy. So in the last couple of years, I was even going through some courses when, you learn how to figure out your style, you learn how to figure out your wardrobe. But the problem with most of these courses, they focus on giving you like solution. They're like, oh, this is the style, this is what's trendy, oh, this is what you should wear for your body, oh, this is that. It doesn't work for me. I want to understand how to find my own style. And I actually started, I think it took me like 2 years, something, maybe 1.5 years, to slowly start moving in the direction, understanding my personal style, understanding what color combinations I actually enjoy and I like wearing, understanding what type of, like garments, type of pants or type of outfits, or for example, like I never had vests in my life, but then I realized like, oh my god, I actually like wearing vests. Why I'm not making more vests? Why I'm knitting sweaters when I actually prefer vests? Things like this. Also, when I was doing some exercises for those like find your personal style courses, I realized one very important thing. Because I actually, if I see some outfits that I like, I save them to either my Pinterest or I save them to my Instagram if it's on Instagram. So for one of the exercises, I had to analyze all the outfits. So what I did, I just brought a Canva and I brought all the outfits that I saved in the last couple of years. I brought in this Canva, and then I started seeing patterns. I just realized that there are basically I save the same outfits over and over and over and over. And I'm like, wait a minute, if I saved this particular outfit 10 times, but I still didn't buy anything to replicate this outfit, what's happening? And I realized there is this huge disconnect in my head between what I like to see on myself and between what I actually buy. And what is even worse than that, I actually, when I knit things, for example, I knit lots of brown items, but I don't like to wear brown. And I'm like, what's happening? Why do I buy brown yarn? And I understand why, because I probably watch other channels. I see people have this rustic style. They like this brown, beige colors, and they usually look good on, on sweaters. But that's not what I wear. So the goal for this year to finally start making garments, making clothes that I actually want to wear. I started using yarn, bright yarn like this, because I'm like, why I never use this bright yarn if it, you see, you look at me, I like bright colors, but why I don't knit with bright colors as often. So this is the plan for my year, to be more mindful what I should wear. When I buy yarn, when I plan a next project, to be a little bit more mindful. I don't quite know yet how to go about it, because I literally knit things that I don't wear. Probably 60 to 70% of items that I made. And again, at some point I will make a video all my knitted wardrobe, and I will talk about it. I will talk about items that I made and I only probably wear them once or twice. I can't explain why. Because actually I can explain now. I couldn't explain before, I could explain now. For example, I have several items that I like the construction, but I don't like the yarn, and I don't like the color choice. So again, if I was technically I need to do more planning, but I don't like to do planning. That's the problem. Because if I do too much planning, I usually give up on a project because it becomes not interesting. So I need to find this balance between doing a little bit of planning and putting a little bit of thought, but at the same time not making it too boring, too cumbersome, That's something for this year. And in general, my plan for this year to have more colorful items. I also want to do more crochet summer items, because I see there is a huge rise of very cool projects in crochet. Crochet, I will probably follow some patterns. I already prepared some ideas for myself. I'm actually trying to implement having a plan. I'm trying to do mood boards or something like this, so I have a better understanding what I want to knit. Also, my other project, I don't know if it's going to be possible this year, but I want to do more fiber arts projects, not necessarily just knitting or not necessarily just crocheting, but a mixture. For example, since I actually restarting my sewing journey this year. So for example, this pants, this is pajama pants that I made for myself. So I already restarted my sewing journey. So my plan is to start sewing and maybe see if I can make maybe at least one project this year where I can combine sewing, knitting, crocheting, and maybe even embroidery. I want to something creative, because I like unique items. I like items that are super creative, but at the same time, because I like to start projects, I tend just to do things that are stockinette stitch, basic construction. But then I'm like, okay, you're so boring, I don't want to wear you. So I need to I kind of want to develop my creative side. I don't consider myself super creative person, but what I believe that you can actually train yourself to be more creative. So this is the plan for this year. Okay, by now this video is definitely super long. I actually was planning to talk about this unfinished project. Also, I was planning to talk about some other things, but maybe we'll do it next time. And before we finish, I actually need to quickly talk about the plans for this channel. Obviously, since I'm just starting, I will, try different things and see how it goes. But my plan for now to do knitting vlog maybe once a month, something like this. I'm definitely not planning to post on a weekly basis, so if you don't see videos from me on a regular basis, don't think that I disappear. Just know that I'm not planning to become a knitting YouTuber. I'm not planning to become any type of YouTuber at this moment. I have a job, and basically I only knit and do sewing projects on the weekend. So I'm like very limited, and if I don't do it on one weekend, then I have to do it on the next weekend, and then depends how busy I am. So I'm planning to do as many videos as possible, but most probably it's not going to be super often. But for now, my plan is to have at least once a month like a knitting log where I update you on my projects, maybe share something like, I don't know, some things. Also, I'm planning to do different videos like, I don't know, something like I already plan right now. For example, I want to make a video showing all the items that I knitted in 4 years and discuss which I like, which I don't like. I also plan to have a separate video for some of my projects. For example, for like this particular project, Halibut sweater, I'm probably gonna make a separate video because I want also to share my experience trying my first Colorwork project. Maybe this, if you haven't started Colorwork yet, that will be, I don't know, maybe useful for somebody. I also want to have a separate video about all my knitting plans. And by knitting plans, I don't mean that I have a plan what I'm gonna knit, but more I save different things, and I want to, just share things that inspire me, because obviously I save more stuff that I can possibly knit, but maybe you see something for yourself. At least, like, I personally actually like to watch other people inspiration or knitting plans videos, because I like to see what other people knit or what other people get inspired by, because this way I can find interesting designers, I can find interesting people, I can just get inspired. I know that those videos are super inspirational for me, so I also want to contribute to the same type of videos. Maybe they will be useful for somebody else. I don't know at what point, but I kind of want to start doing free tutorials how to do things. Not stitch by stitch, row by row type, like that's not my thing, but just in general, like how I explained about this, I will just go through the whole process. How do I come up with this idea? How do I decide how, all the measurements? How do I decide what, patterns to use, or not patterns, what cables and stitches to use? How do I do like different things? So I want to share my knowledge, because I don't know, like when I go on the English speaking YouTube, I see lots of people knitting the same items from the same designers, and I'm not gonna name those designers. Hi, sir. The sir decided to join us. You decided to join us? Don't be a pest, please. He's a pest. He usually doesn't like me filming or talking on the phone. He gets super annoyed and he just flies back and forth or screeches. Or he attacks the dog, and I don't like it. That's why he was actually in his cage the whole time, because he's a pest when I'm trying to do something and he's just bugging me because he wants attention 24/7. Anyway, what I was saying. Yeah, so I see like lots of people knitting the same stuff and people buying patterns, and sometimes they're buying patterns for very basic construction. So what I want to do, I want to explain how things are made. Obviously, I'm not professionally trained, but I think in 4 years of my knitting journey, as well as a little bit of sewing, and I'm super obsessed with garment construction. This is my special interest. So I really want to share what I know, so more people will be able to create something. I don't know, especially now since I have a knitting machine, I might, maybe give you, not you, but whoever has a knitting machine as well, maybe give you more information how I go about, making a construction like that. How do I decide about, armhole shaping, neckline and stuff like this. Yeah, so I want to do more educational videos. I don't quite know. Usually those videos take a lot of energy and time to produce, so I don't quite know whether I have that time and energy. Because unfortunately, in the last couple of years, I'm struggling with finding any energy. But right now, I am in an era of my life when I do have some extra energy, and I hope it doesn't disappear. Because usually, if I disappear from YouTube, that means I have no energy for anything. Yeah, I hope I'm in my good era for a long time. Anyway, what else? What else do I want to do in those videos? Yeah, I also might do some sewing vlogs. I don't know, like I feel like people who knit, they don't necessarily sew. So I don't know, it's probably not going to be very interesting. That's why first I was thinking to make a kind of like hybrid combined knitting and sewing vlog, but then I was like, no, that's completely different audience. At the same time, what I see in English speaking YouTube, I feel, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel there is a rise of sewing channels and just more people get into sewing. So I think maybe I should do something like that. Anyway, I'm gonna see you when I see you. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm mostly, I don't know, I was about to say I mostly update Pinterest and Instagram. I kind of hate Instagram, and I see lots of people talking about leaving the Instagram. In case if that happens, I decided to create like another platform that everyone talks about, the Mastodon. So I actually created my account. I even started updating Mastodon. I don't quite know if this social media are going to be popular, but if by any chance you're on Mastodon, go follow me. So if you are on any of the social media, Pinterest, Instagram, Mastodon, whatever we have, Ravelry, I'm there with the same nickname. I'm Wild Gooseberry Tea, so you can easily find me there. Okay, bye bye, and I hope to see you in my next video. Marcia, stop eating, come here. Come here. I wanted you to be in my video, but you decided not to join us. Why did you join us? You're such a pest. And when I finished filming, you decided to come and join us? I know, I wanted you to be in the video, so people can see you. You're such a beautiful bird. Why are you being such a pest today? Yeah, I grabbed you a couple of times, put you on my shoulder so you can sit like a parrot, like a pirate parrot on my shoulder during me filming, and you left me every time. Okay, can you sit on my shoulder so we can film the intro? No, we're not let's going anywhere. Don't let's go. No, we're not gonna let's go. Where do you want to let's go? Well, welcome to this first knitting podcast, or maybe it's gonna be knitting long. Probably like a podcast. Yeah, welcome. Did you just poop on me? Well, welcome to this first knitting podcast, or maybe it's gonna be knitting log. We'll see about it. Don't poop on me. Okay, come here. I even bribed him so he can sit on my shoulder and I can record the intro.